Let's play a game. I'm going to show you a reenactment based on a true story. Figure out who is being toxic, but remember, there's more than meets the eye. Alright, I'm going to kill you and then use this defib here. That way we can save the med kit. Now why would you do that?
You shot me first, man.
Not cool, man.
So who messed up here? Was it miscommunication or trolling? That's the kind of thing we're looking at today, and so many people miss the truth. I'll give you the answer by the end of the video to tie everything together. Now the first thing we have to understand about this is expectations versus reality. One reason the players on both sides get so upset is that these two things don't match up for them. So if you're an easy or normal skill level player, you probably shouldn't be joining a random expert game unless it's something that you work out with your friends. But why does that matter? Let's say that you're an expert tier player with a couple friends pushing to beat a tough campaign. You're doing great, but then a new player joins, they rush ahead, then get pounced by a hunter and die. Yeah, anyway, I've played enough video games to know that the game's not going to give us anything in the first hallway, okay? And hey, I think my game glitched. I can't push this monster off me. Can somebody hurry up and help me out or something? Right now. Quit being slow. Let's go, go. Essentially wasting a slot, as if Bot Rochelle was going to do any better, right? Maybe they have the only Molotov and they don't throw it on the tank. No thanks, I don't want to do that. I have my own plan here. So I'm not going to use the fireball because I might catch us all on fire. I actually saw Doom Guy punch a demon to death once, so when were you going to tell me this was a bad idea? Maybe they go to pull you up from being in-capped when commons are everywhere and it's just a bad time. Hey, well, let me get the revive so it makes my score look better, okay? My bad, man. Sorry, I've watched the videos on YouTube. It didn't look like there were too many zombies based off of what I've watched, so I thought I'd try it. Yeah, we good, bro? Yeah, I'll get you next time.
Yo,
this is showing a lack of basic gameplay skills, not to mention things you need to do on Expert. These are all things that players do from inexperience, and that's the angle that I'm taking, not griefing or refusing to learn and apply knowledge. I mean when the intentions are pure and the action is bad, versus being a troll. There's a huge difference between the two, and the pure intent is more forgivable. Now, is it right for the expert player to be rude? Not at all, although there is more to the story that you need to know. The atmosphere, environment, and goals of each player's game isn't matching up with one another. When we lack compatibility in multiplayer gaming, we get frustrated with one another. The expert players say, well, this noob is bringing us down and hurting the team. We're trying to be serious and win. The new player says, man, these guys are rude. I'm just trying to beat the game and help out. Wow, this game has such a toxic community. I'll just quit playing online then. The new player doesn't know what they don't know, and they don't realize why they're kicked. They just think it's out of toxic hate, when it's not really shown very clearly in-game or by the other players. But quitting over one thing? This part is really important for later, so be sure to remember it. Okay, so now we've hit a wall. The expectations of each player aren't matching up with the reality of that situation, and this is the crux of the problem that nobody seems to talk about. Now we can handle this in a few different ways. You can angrily kick the player, forcibly removing them from the situation. This works in that the game rolls on as intended, though it did take a hit from the time and the events that have already happened, and now they're down a player. I mean, hey look, I get it. When emotions run hot, we can act rashly. I'm a competitive guy, I play to win. But it's important to remember that there's a real person on the other side of that keyboard, with different expectations than us, who may mean well, and despite being in the same situation, sees and experiences a different reality. The better course of action, though, is education. Explain that this is a competitive expert run, that it's nothing personal, but maybe this lobby isn't the best fit for you right now. And if you want, you can steer them in the right direction or add them on Steam later when you can all be on a similar page. Maybe telling them that you'll explain after you're done. This may be more work and it technically isn't required, but it is a way to go about it and make it more peaceful and end the situation amicably. Now, are there people out there that join a lobby, spam the shotgun on their freshly spawned expert teammates, drop slurs? Of course, those have been around way before Modern Warfare 2 lobbies. I'm looking more at the misunderstandings in the gameplay. Do the trolls outnumber those who just want to have fun? See, nobody wins if you get toxic. Playing Left 4 Dead by yourself is a far different and subpar experience than playing with friends. Finding a group to play with and stick by is awesome. I mean, not only are you confident that you'll get some good games in, but you begin to enjoy each other's company, learn each other's playstyles and how to work off each other, which in turn leads you to become a stronger team. I'm personally in a group that has a couple handful of players, and I know that even though our skill levels vary, we're all respectful to each other. You should join us if you want to be a part of a group just like that. I'll put a link to our Discord in the description below. Love to have you. Now, a huge factor that we need to talk about is something that I said earlier. Remember this? But quitting over one thing? This part is really important for later, so be sure to remember it. When a new or novice player gets a bad taste in their mouth, they may leave the game. Think back to a time that you went to a restaurant for the first time, and the food was terrible. I mean, it left a sour taste in your mouth, right? Well, it's the same thing here. Even if the food was bad that one time, it doesn't mean that it always will be. Maybe it was a new chef, maybe somebody dropped the ball or dropped your food. But that first impression sticks with you hard and greatly impacts what you do in the future. So, the novice player leaves, and the community is down one person. Attrition or player churn and loss is natural. People quit games and move on with their life. But isn't this a bit premature? The player was driven away not by the game, hating its mechanics, not having fun. Rather, they're ready to enjoy how the game plays. But in a multiplayer game, they got a bad taste of the community. Now, I disagree when people run off new players. I mean, think about it. Why do we want to push people away from wanting to learn a game we love? What if someone did that to us and our history with the game was never made? It's like the butterfly effect. One small action largely impacts the future. Now, Left 4 Dead 2 doesn't get super frequent updates. So if we push someone away from a game who isn't pulling in new players from these updates, though it is sustaining really well, how's that look on us? So how does that tie into the story from the start of the video? A lot of times, negativity gets overblown on the internet. Sure, bad things do happen, and people say things on voice chat that's inappropriate, which is a whole other discussion from the gameplay elements that this video addresses. Now, it's not to say that negativity doesn't exist, but do we make it sound worse than it really is? Probably. I mean, that's for any game. However, find a good, non-toxic, welcoming group. The huge thing is actually understanding everyone's goals and not necessarily always being on the same page, but knowing what page each person is on and adapting for it. That's critical. And when we look at our story from the start, the revived team killer, was it miscommunication or toxicity? Tommy Team Killer didn't understand the gameplay mechanics and the strategies, so he may have been into an too advanced party to keep up with. It's a learning experience, so he can benefit from this. However, as veteran player Jays replied, the teammate reviver should have communicated better that this is what the plan was, so that the situation could have been avoided at all. Maybe the team killer was going for an achievement, or they knew of item spawns ahead that would prevent this whole thing at all. But the team kill and going on a toddler temper tantrum rampage? Like I said earlier, I know emotions are high, but this was absolutely the wrong way to go about it. And of course, there's always versus mode. Now, this video is generally focused on campaign, as that's what I mostly play, but I do understand that when the whole idea is competition, that people will generally get more tilted when things go wrong. Now, a real live human is responsible for your team's mistakes and possible loss against another team of real live humans. So, if you lose, you have to deal with the fact that people beat you and that you're not just playing against AI. Now, I think that just knowing that someone else is on the other side of that monitor subconsciously just adds to that competitive aspect. But like I said, this video really applies to campaign and versus. But what is the big picture? Maybe our approach to multiplayer toxicity is all wrong. Maybe if we just take a step back, we can help others grow stronger. We all have a part to play and to make everyone's experience the best it can be. So please do be respectful to your teammates, because in a game like Left 4 Dead, your team is truly at its strongest when it's working together. I mean, it is called Left 4 Dead, not Left 1 Dead, right? Check out my video here revealing why some noobs are toxic. Sub if you had fun today, and thanks for watching.
That's how it's done right.